A Neanderthal woman had stronger arms than the strongest male Olympic rower alive today. Not the average man, the strongest. We look at ancient humans and see primitives, people who barely survived, people who needed our world to become real humans. But the bones say something different. The bones say we got weaker, much weaker. And the question nobody wants to ask is, what exactly did we lose, and did we ever choose to lose it? Bone is living tissue. It responds to load. Every time you put mechanical stress on a bone, running, climbing, carrying, throwing, the bone rebuilds itself slightly denser, slightly stronger in exactly the place the stress hit. Stop stressing it, and it quietly thins. Your skeleton is not a fixed structure. It is a record, a physical diary of everything your body was asked to do. In 2015, a team of researchers at Cambridge published a study comparing the leg bones of prehistoric hunter-gatherers to the leg bones of modern humans, including competitive athletes. The hunter-gatherers still had denser, more structurally reinforced bones. They were just living. The average Hadza man in Tanzania walks between 8 and 12 miles every day across uneven terrain, not on a treadmill, not on a paved path, across rocks and roots and inclines that shift without warning. He does this while carrying things, a bow, a kill, sometimes another person. He does not train for this. He simply does it every day, because that is what his life requires. Your body reflects what your life requires too. And for most people alive today, it requires almost nothing. In 1995, anthropologists studying skeletal remains from early agricultural communities in Europe noticed something they were not expecting. The bones of early farmers were consistently weaker than the bones of the hunter-gatherers who came before them. Not older, not diseased, just later. The average height of humans in Europe fell by nearly 2.5 inches in the centuries immediately following the adoption of agriculture. We did not reach the average height of pre-agricultural humans again until the 20th century. It took us 10,000 years to recover the height that farming took from us. And it was not just height. Grip strength, bone density, jaw structure, tooth size. Nearly every structural measurement we can take from skeletal remains tells the same story. The hunter-gatherer body was built harder than ours. Their jaws were wider because they spent hours every day chewing raw and tough food. Their hands were built around the grip of a spear or a digging tool, not a keyboard. Their feet spread wider from walking barefoot on uneven ground every day of their lives. A 2017 study at Stony Brook University found that the bone structure of ancient human lower limbs indicated they were not just stronger, they moved differently. Their gait had been shaped by a lifetime of navigating complex terrain. Ours has been shaped by flat floors, escalators, and chairs. We are not just weaker. We move in a structurally different way than the species we came from. The obvious question is whether any of this matters. We live longer now. We have medicine. We do not need to outrun predators or crack open thigh bones to survive. The argument makes sense on the surface. But the researchers who study this are not nostalgic. They are alarmed. Because the same mechanisms that built bone density in ancient humans, the constant varied load, the unpredictable terrain, the daily physical demand, are also what kept their joints working, their cardiovascular system strong, and their metabolic processes stable. We did not just lose strength, we lost the conditions that kept the whole system running correctly. The diseases now killing the most people on Earth, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, chronic back pain, are almost non-existent in populations that still live the way ancient humans did, not because those populations have better genes, because their bodies are still being asked to do what they were built for. There is a concept in biology called mismatch disease. The idea is simple. When an organism's environment changes faster than evolution can track, the organism starts breaking down in the specific ways its old environment used to prevent. Your body was designed over millions of years of daily physical demand. It was built to walk long distances on unpredictable ground, to carry heavy things, to climb, dig, sprint, and rest in cycles that never looked like an 8-hour desk shift followed by a couch. When you remove those demands, the body does not just stay the same. It degrades in the exact places the demand used to reinforce it. The ancient humans were not stronger because they were better. They were stronger because their world asked more of them. Every single day, without exception, Their skeletons were not a product of discipline or intention. They were a product of necessity. The difference between them and you is not genetics. It is not willpower. It is the gap between a life that required the body to perform and a life that has made performance optional. And here is the part that is hard to sit with. We built this. The agriculture, the cities, the chairs, the shoes, the flat floors, the delivered food, the cars, every convenience that made life easier also made the body less necessary. We optimized for survival and accidentally optimized against the conditions that made us physically capable of it. The bones of your ancestors are sitting in museum drawers right now, measurably denser than yours. Not because they were a different species, because they lived in a world that would not let them go soft. We do not live in that world anymore. The question is not whether you should. The question is what you do with a body built for demands that no longer exist in a life that has quietly stopped making any.